I think that's it. So we're going to have Tony Avella speak. We're going to take, I guess, 5 questions because we do have some other speakers. And yeah, so go for it.
You talked about all the issues I was going to talk about. Let me just sort of give you a brief update on where the pet and housing bill is. Some of you may know the entire history. First of all, Councilmember Melinda Katz introduced the first bill, and it met some opposition. But it was clear that Councilmember Katz was more interested in just introducing the bill than actually getting it passed. Because when I went to her and I said, well, you know, there's some opposition, the way the bill is written, it's absolutely not going to pass. So what can we do to meet with some of the people who are opposed to it, some of our colleagues who refuse to sign on to it, and how can we get some sort of compromise going? She refused to get involved in any negotiation. She didn't want to hear anything. I said, well, in that case, what I'm going to do is meet with everybody and see if we can come up with a compromise bill. That's what I did. I then went to her and said, here's the compromise bill. It's yours. You can reintroduce it. You can amend your bill. You can put your name on it. I really don't care as long as we get something passed. Once again, she refused. And I basically said, well, what's the point of this then, if you're really not interested in passing the bill? Unfortunately, while she won't admit it, this is something that some elected officials do just to pretend that they were in favor of an issue. They'll introduce legislation, but they're really not interested in having it passed. And that's why the original bill really didn't move anyplace. It really wasn't going to pass. So I introduced the compromise bill, and with the support of a number of groups, the League of Humane Voters, for example, we've been lobbying my colleagues, and now we have 20 sponsors. So we're still pushing to get it passed. There is still huge opposition from the real estate industry. Even though, when I met with them, I addressed their concerns in the compromise bill, but then after we addressed their concerns, they came back and they said, oh, well, that wasn't really our concern. Now we're concerned about this. So I said to them, well, you can't be disingenuous like that. From now on, I'm moving ahead whether you like it or not. Unfortunately, there's a reason why Speaker Quinn has gotten a 0 on your scorecard, because she's not being helpful either. We cannot get a hearing on the bill. We've asked her to move the bill ahead, and the answer we basically have gotten is she's not interested in the bill at all. She doesn't even want to discuss it. So you should go from this meeting. I have a packet in the back that was mentioned. It has the bill number, of course, Christine's address, and the chairman of the committee's address. Write letters, do some email, call. It's my position, really, that the only way we're going to get this passed, if we really get out there and demonstrate and embarrass my colleagues and the speaker in getting this bill passed. It is absolutely something that needs to be done. Excuse me, I just had root canal and I'm still recovering from it. But if we don't embarrass them, this is not going ahead. I hate to tell you, maybe some of you know, the real estate industry controls what happens in this city. You and I have no say. As an elected official, I have very little say. If the real estate industry wants to kill something, it's dead. And that's something that has to change, and that was sort of part of my mayoral speech over there, if you don't mind. Things really have to change in this city if we really want to accomplish things. The HART resolution that was mentioned that the League is supporting has 27 sponsors. Why are we not getting a hearing on that bill? 27 is a majority. That's enough to pass it right out of the council. Why haven't we got a hearing on it? So that's another thing that I could use your support on. But working together, we can really make an effort in animal rights in this city. It's interesting, I never sought out to be, I guess, the person in the city council, the go-to person for animal rights legislation. But I've always considered myself fair-minded and open-minded. And when the League came to me with some of these issues, as well as some of the other groups that are here tonight, I thought, you know, you're absolutely right. And I wanted to help. And that's why I'm in this position, working with you, to basically get these things done. I had no separate agenda other than to do what's right for this city and by the people of this city. and by the animals of the city. But it's unfortunate that we have a continuous battle to get these things done. But if we all really get out there and pressure my colleagues, we can get these things passed. You'd be surprised how many of my colleagues bend with the wind. Right now they're looking to her for Quinn for leadership, and for direction, I should say, not leadership, direction. And if she doesn't want it to move ahead, it won't unless members themselves get up and say, well, wait a second, my constituents are complaining to me about it. So I wish I would have better news for you, but it's still on the agenda. We're still pushing it. The league is still pushing it. And the more my colleagues we can get to sign on the pet bill, the faster we can get this move ahead. But I'm obviously going to try and move the hardware reso as quickly as possible with 27 members. I think that's enough to move it out. In the back, as was mentioned, I have some other pieces of legislation that I'm sponsoring. I'm in the process of introducing a reso in the council to support the legislation in the state about the foie gras legislation, which would ban the production, the force feeding of foie gras upstate. Alan Gerson was actually going to introduce legislation to ban it in the city of New York, but I understand he sort of like backed off. So I went to him and I said, well, what I'll do is introduce the resolution, in effect supporting the state legislation, which would in effect stop the production if it gets passed. The only problem is the state legislation, as I understand it, died at the end of last session, and it hasn't been reintroduced yet. So as soon as he reintroduces it, can you let me know? And then I'll introduce the resolution in the council. I've asked the council legal department to write it, but until they get the new bill number, we can't move ahead. But as soon as it's reintroduced, I'll introduce the reso. And I think we can get some support on that. I think people have to understand what the issue is. I actually have a couple of people in my district who came to me and said, well, I like foie gras. Don't do anything to ban it. Then I explained to them, I said, well, do you understand how it comes about? What they do to the animal to get to that point? And then they were a little like, oh, I didn't know that. And I actually think that's the education we have to do, is let people know what they're doing to the animals to make this particular delicacy. And I hate to call it a delicacy. You know, food, whatever we want to call it. But I'm hopeful that once we get that reso introduced, we can move that ahead as well. And there's some other pieces of legislation that I'm working on as well. But I'd appreciate your support. And as was mentioned, I am running for mayor. Thank you, I appreciate that. For the very reason that I've stated, that too many things go on in this city for the wrong reasons. And you and I have lost control of our own city. And I want to set up a system by which we vote on issues and we work on issues for the right reasons, and not because it's politically connected, or who's supporting that particular candidate, or who's against a particular legislation like the real estate industry. The city has to be based upon what we want, not what the real estate industry wants. Thank you. I'll take some questions. And by the way, I do need your help in the mayoral campaign, because you can imagine I'm not going to raise the type of money that some of the other candidates are going to raise from the real estate industry.